Ladies and gentlemen, when the day feels heavy and the noise of the world drowns out the whisper of your own soul, that is when you must pause, not to retreat, but to remember. You were born with light in your bones and fire in your breath. You were made for more than confusion, more than chaos. You were made for clarity, for peace, for purpose. So let me speak to the part of you that still believes. These are 6 powerful lessons, simple yet fierce, gentle but mighty. They will not scream at you. They will not force their way into your heart. But if you let them, they will clear your mind like rain clears the dust off the leaves, like truth clears the lie, like love clears the doubt, certainly. Here is the expanded version of Key Point No, one based on the earlier theme and tone, written in the style you requested. Stillness is not weakness. They'll tell you otherwise. The world will rush at you with its clocks and schedules, its demands and distractions, and it will try to convince you that if you are not always moving, always producing, always saying yes, then you are falling behind. But let me tell you, stillness is strength dressed in silence. It is not absence, it is presence. The kind that listens deeper than noise, sees further than sight, and stands taller than sound. Stillness is where clarity comes to visit. It does not shout, it whispers. It doesn't knock hard, it waits at the edge of your restlessness until you finally turn your face toward yourself and say, enough, I need a moment to breathe. And when you do, that breath becomes your anchor. That breath becomes your reminder, I am not a machine. I am not my job title. I am not this endless to-do list. I am a living, breathing soul who has the right to pause. Because in the pause, truth rises. In the pause, you can hear what your heart's been trying to say while you've been sprinting through the noise. You can hear your intuition tugging at your sleeve, saying, not that way, this way. Stillness opens that sacred space. A space to be, a space to remember, and no, it isn't always easy. Sometimes stillness feels like discomfort, like an itch under the skin, because when you slow down, everything you've been outrunning catches up. The doubt, the pain, the questions with no answers. But even then, that's a holy kind of discomfort. That's the body, the mind, the spirit doing the work of untangling, of healing. You must trust that you can sit in the middle of the storm and not be swept away. The oak tree does not fear winter. It knows the season of stillness is where the roots grow deeper. You too must grow beneath the surface. Let your roots stretch into the soil of your soul. You don't need to prove your worth by how loudly you move. Your power is not in your noise. Your power is in your knowing. So sit still, child. Let the world spin if it must. Let others race. You sit. Sip your tea. Watch the wind bend the branches. Listen to the quiet between your thoughts. That quiet is not emptiness. It is invitation to return to your center, to gather your strength, to stop performing and start being. Because when you rise again, and you will rise with direction. You will rise with purpose, not panic. You will speak with intention, not impulse. You will act not from fear, but from wisdom. And that wisdom was born in the stillness. Water becomes clear only when it settles. And so too the mind. Do not let the noise of others become your measure. Do not let urgency steal your serenity. You have permission to pause. You have the right to rest. Your soul needs quiet the way your body needs sleep. The stillness is not you giving up. It is you preparing to move forward, not with frantic motion, but with sacred intention. Let others call it idleness if they must, but you call it returning, call it remembering, call it peace. And when the time comes to move again, you'll know. You won't need to be pushed or pulled. You'll move like rivers move, with grace, with force, with purpose. You'll move like you've been lit from within, because that's exactly what stillness will do. It will light your fire where the world only fanned your smoke. So when the world says hustle harder, you can smile and say, not today. Today I listen. Today I breathe. Today I choose stillness. Not because I'm lost, but because I'm finding my way. And that right there is strength. Let go of what is not yours to carry. It sounds simple when said out loud, like dropping a bag or turning away from a weight you no longer wish to hold. But the truth is, letting go is often the bravest, most tender act you will ever do for your soul, because we don't just carry things in our hands, we carry them in our hearts. In the curve of our backs and the silence between our words, we carry old wounds that never closed right. We carry shame that never belonged to us. We carry the expectations of others like heavy cloaks stitched from years of should and not enough. But child, you were never meant to walk bent over with the weight of things that were never yours. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that to love someone meant to hold their pain as your own, that to be strong meant to hold it all together, even when the pieces cut your palms. But I'm here to tell you, strength is not found in what you cling to, it's found in what you release. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean denying what happened. It means making peace with it. It means saying, yes, that chapter shaped me, but it no longer defines me. It means recognizing that some people, some memories, some habits are only meant to walk with you for a season, not a lifetime. And the moment you realize that, you begin to make space. Space for new things, space for healing, space for light. We hold on to pain because it's familiar, because it gives us a sense of control, even when it's toxic. But pain is not proof of loyalty. Holding on to what broke you does not make you whole. It keeps you stuck in a moment that was meant to pass. There is no glory in suffering you don't need. There is no honor in staying small for the comfort of others. You do not need to keep setting yourself on fire just to keep old stories warm. You have permission to leave the past behind. You have permission to forgive yourself for not knowing better, for staying too long, for loving too hard, for trusting too deeply. You are allowed to choose peace over performance, allowed to walk away from roles you were cast in without your consent, allowed to say, this no longer serves me. That is not selfish, that is sacred. Sometimes what you need to let go of is not a person or a place, but a version of yourself that only knew how to survive. That version did her best. She fought hard. She kept going when everything inside her begged to stop, and for that she deserves your gratitude, not your punishment. But now you are learning to thrive, and survival has no place in a heart that's ready to bloom. Letting go might feel like loss at first, but in time you will see it for what it is, a return. A return to yourself, to your rhythm, to your truth. You'll walk lighter, you'll speak freer, you'll feel air in your lungs in a way you forgot was possible, because you're no longer dragging ghosts into your tomorrow. And no, not everyone will understand. Some people will try to hand you back what you've laid down. They'll say, but you've always held this. This is who you are. Smile gently, walk on anyway. They do not get to decide what you carry. You are not responsible for fixing everyone, not responsible for the healing of those who refuse to heal themselves, not responsible for staying where you shrink. You are responsible for your light, for your joy, for your peace. And if something dims that light, if it robs you of your breath, if it makes you forget your name, let it go. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. And you cannot become whole while holding fragments that don't fit anymore. So unclench your fists, breathe deep, lay it down, not in anger, but in love. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You are clearing space for something better. And the beauty of release is this: when your hands are free, they can finally hold the life you were meant to live. Now you're ready to carry only what lifts you. Speak to yourself with mercy. You've heard the voice, haven't you? That sharp, unforgiving whisper that waits for you in the quiet. The one that turns mistakes into monuments and past missteps into permanent stains. It sounds like your own voice, but it's not. It's every wound you've ever carried, every cruel word that was ever spoken to you, now dressed up in your own tone. That voice says, you're not enough, not doing enough, not healing fast enough. And too often we listen. But I'm here to remind you of something that the world often forgets to teach. How you speak to yourself becomes the home you live in. And if your inner voice is cold, critical, and cutting, then it becomes hard to breathe in your own skin. You must learn to speak to yourself with mercy, with softness, with the same tenderness you offer everyone else. You wouldn't dare speak to a friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself. You wouldn't look them in the eyes and say, you're worthless, you'll never be enough, you always mess things up. So why do you allow those words in your own mind? You've got to catch them, those quiet lies, and replace them with truths rooted in love. The truth is, you've survived things you never thought you would. You've grown in the dark. You've shown up on days when your heart was too heavy to carry. You've been brave in ways no one saw. That deserves compassion, not criticism. That deserves celebration, not silence. You are not lazy. You're tired. You are not broken. You're healing. You are not lost. You are becoming. Let those words wrap around your spirit like a warm shawl on a cold day. Let them soften the edges that have grown sharp from too many battles. Speak them slowly like a song until your heart begins to believe them. There is power in kindness, especially when directed inward, because when you offer yourself mercy, you begin to shift. You begin to move from survival to self-love. You begin to forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. And you begin to see your reflection not through the lens of your wounds, but through the eyes of your worth. Yes, you've made mistakes. Who hasn't? But a mistake is not a life sentence. You're allowed to outgrow who you once were. You're allowed to rewrite the script. You're allowed to wake up one day and say, I choose to love myself here, even in the middle of the mess. Mercy doesn't mean you ignore the truth. It means you hold the truth in one hand and grace in the other. It means saying, I did what I could with what I had, and choosing to move forward instead of drowning in shame. Shame has never healed anyone, but mercy makes the soil fertile for change, for growth, for peace. Every time you say something kind to yourself, you're healing a little girl inside who thought she had to be perfect to be loved. Every time you choose gentleness over judgment, you're rewriting generations of harshness that were handed down like heirlooms. You're not just speaking differently, you're breaking a cycle. It will take practice. That harsh voice may still rise now and then, but the more you speak with mercy, the softer it becomes. And one day you'll realize your inner voice sounds like a friend, one who cheers you on, one who reminds you to rest, one who says, I love you anyway. You will never become the person you're meant to be through self-hate. Transformation does not grow from punishment. It grows from love, from tenderness, from care. Speak kindly to yourself, not because you're already where you want to be, but because you know you're on your way. So the next time you look in the mirror, look with eyes that remember every mountain you've climbed, every tear you've wiped alone, every time you smiled when you wanted to disappear. And say something kind, something true, something healing. Say, I'm proud of you. I see you. I love you. Because your words, more than anyone else's, shape your world. Speak life, speak light, speak mercy. You deserve nothing less. Protect your peace like it's treasure, because it is. And you don't owe it to anyone to make it small, to make it accessible, to make it easy for others to come and go as they please. Your peace is not a waiting room for people's chaos. It's not a landfill for their anger, not a playground for their drama. You fought too hard for this quiet. You've cried too long for this calm. You've gathered yourself from too many pieces to now hand yourself over to noise just because someone demands your time, your energy, your spirit. Peace doesn't always announce itself with big gestures. Sometimes it's just that moment when your shoulders dropped after being tense all day. That deep exhale after choosing not to respond to a message that deserved no answer. That quiet smile when you realize you don't need to prove your worth to anyone anymore. Peace is soft, but it is not weak. It is the strength that steadies your soul when the world feels too loud. You have every right to protect it. Not everyone who knocks at the door of your life deserves to be let in. Some only come with storms in their pockets and thunder in their hands. You've got to learn the difference between those who come with light and those who come to dim yours. And when you know the difference, protect yourself accordingly. Say no without guilt. Walk away without apology. Set boundaries like you mean them, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom, out of self-respect. Because here's the truth, not everyone will understand your peace. Some people thrive on urgency, on drama, on noise, and when you stop participating in that cycle, they may say you've changed. Let them. You have changed. You've grown. You've chosen a better way. You've decided that being calm is more important than being liked, that protecting your energy matters more than explaining your every move. There is power in choosing peace in a world that profits from your restlessness. There is rebellion in rest. There is resistance in softness. When you slow down, when you take care of your heart, when you refuse to carry what doesn't belong to you, you are taking back your power. And you are teaching the world how to treat you. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to explain every decision. You don't have to show up to every argument just because you were invited. Protecting your peace means knowing what you need and honoring that without shame. Some days that means silence, some days that means solitude, some days that means laughter, music, movement. Whatever brings you back to yourself, protect it. And please understand this, your peace doesn't require permission. It doesn't need to be justified or defended. It just needs to be honored by you, because you are the gatekeeper. You are the guardian. You are the one who knows what it costs to get here. Remember when your mind was a storm, when every thought felt like lightning and every moment felt like survival? You're not there anymore, and you don't have to go back. Let peace be the standard now. Let it be the compass. Let it guide your yes and your no, your stay and your go. The more you protect your peace, the more you realize how precious it is, how rare, how necessary. And slowly, gently, you begin to build a life where your peace is not a visitor, it's the foundation. You make choices that support it. You welcome people who nourish it. You grow into someone who carries it with them no matter where they go. This isn't selfish, this is sacred. So protect it like it's treasure, because it is, and because you are. Forgive, not because they ask, not because they deserve. Forgive because you deserve peace. That's the lesson too many of us learn with time. After the pain has lingered too long, after the bitterness begins to settle like dust in the corners of our hearts. Forgiveness isn't about them. It never really was. It's about you. About setting your spirit free from the chains of what was done, what wasn't said, what broke your heart without warning. Because no matter how right you are, how justified the anger, how deep the scar, holding on to pain too long becomes its own kind of prison. And you were never meant to live caged. We confuse forgiveness with forgetting. We think it means we have to pretend like it didn't matter, like it didn't hurt. But forgiveness isn't amnesia, it's wisdom. It's looking your pain in the eye and saying, yes, you were real. Yes, you left a mark. but you do not get to write the rest of my story. It's choosing to unclench your fists, not because what happened was okay, but because carrying it every day is too heavy to bear. You deserve to walk light. There are people who will never apologize, people who will never understand the damage they did. And some of them sleep peacefully at night while you lie awake wondering what you did wrong. That's the cruel truth. And waiting for their apology is like waiting for rain in a desert where they never planned to bring water. So stop waiting. You don't need their remorse to begin your healing. You need your own mercy. You need your own release. Sometimes the person you need to forgive is yourself for staying too long, for trusting too quickly, for trying to fix what wasn't yours to mend. We all make choices we wish we hadn't, but shame will never build you into something better. It only keeps you small. So speak to that younger version of yourself with kindness. Tell her she did her best. Tell her she was trying to love, trying to be love. And now you know better. Now you can choose different. Forgiveness is not a one-time thing. It's not a moment. It's a practice. Some days you'll feel light. Other days the hurt will creep back in, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still healing. Just keep choosing peace. Keep choosing to let go of the rope that burns your hands. Keep choosing not to replay the moment that broke you. Let the memory come, then let it pass like wind through an open window. You are not defined by what they did to you. You are not the echo of someone else's cruelty. You are not the insult they hurled, not the betrayal they chose, not the silence they gave when you needed words. You are the survivor, the healer, the one who chose to rise without revenge in your heart. That is power. That is grace. Holding a grudge will never protect you. It only builds walls between you and the life waiting for you. Walls that block the joy, the love, the laughter. And I promise you, there is more waiting for you on the other side of forgiveness than you can imagine. More peace, more softness, more space to breathe. Forgiveness is a return, not to the person who hurt you, but to yourself. It's reclaiming your mind, your days, your dreams from the grip of what was. It's saying, I choose not to bleed for this anymore. Not because the pain wasn't real, but because your freedom matters more. So sit with the hurt, acknowledge it, honor it, then let it go. Not for them, for you. You get to walk forward. You get to sleep at night. You get to laugh fully again. That's what forgiveness gives you, yourself. And you, my dear, are worth that peace. Be still and listen. We live in a world that constantly demands noise, notifications, voices, distractions, pulling you in every direction, all shouting for your attention, your energy, your thoughts. It's loud out there. And sometimes it gets loud inside you too. The pressure to perform, the fear of missing something, the ache of not knowing what's next. But let me tell you, wisdom doesn't scream, healing doesn't rush, truth doesn't beg to be heard. They all whisper, and you miss them if you don't get still. Stillness isn't idleness. It isn't doing nothing. It's doing the most important thing, tuning in. When you are still, you create space for clarity. You make room for your own voice, the one beneath the noise, the one that knows. That voice has been speaking to you all along. But when the world is loud and your mind is racing, it's easy to confuse that still, soft voice with fear. Or worse, to ignore it completely. But deep down, you know what you need. You've always known. The truth is rarely far, it's just quiet. And it takes courage to be quiet too. To sit with yourself, to breathe without distraction, to listen without jumping to fix. Most people run from the silence because it feels empty. But that silence, that's where your power lives. That's where your wisdom waits. That's where peace blooms like a wildflower in the middle of the noise. You don't have to chase every answer. You don't have to force every decision. Be still. Let the answers come to you. Let your spirit breathe. Let your thoughts settle like dust in a sunbeam. Sometimes clarity only comes after the stillness, and when it does, it comes clean and soft and undeniable. You might think you don't have time to be still, but the truth is, you don't have time not to be. If your mind is crowded, if your spirit is tired, if your body is aching, it's not asking for more hustle. It's asking for space, for silence, for stillness. That's where the healing is. That's where the transformation begins. Stillness is how you return to yourself. Not the self the world shaped, but the self you were before the noise, before the doubt, before you started measuring your worth by how much you could do or how quickly you could respond. That version of you is still here, still whole, still wise, but she speaks softly. You'll need quiet to hear her, and when you do, you'll hear more than just your voice. You'll hear your dreams whispering their way back to you. You'll hear your heart say what it's been trying to say all along. You'll hear the sound of your own breath reminding you that you are here, you are alive, you are enough. Be still, not because it's trendy, not because someone said it's good for you, but because your soul needs the silence to speak, because your peace needs room to grow, because stillness is where the broken pieces start to mend. Stillness doesn't mean you stop moving forever. It means you pause long enough to make sure your movement has purpose, that you're not just rushing out of habit, running from fear, saying yes because it's easier than sitting with yourself. Be still. And then move with intention, speak with clarity, choose with peace. This is not weakness, this is strength, a quiet strength, a rooted strength. Like trees that bend but do not break, like rivers that carve mountains, not with force but with persistence. When you learn to be still, you learn to flow. You don't need to prove anything in your stillness. You don't need to earn rest. You already deserve it. You are allowed to pause, allowed to listen, allowed to just be. That's where your mind clears. That's where your heart heals. That's where you remember who you are. So hush the noise, slow the pace, sit with yourself, trust the silence, listen to what rises. Be still and listen, because your soul has something to say, and it's been waiting for you to hear it. As you step forward on this journey of growth, remember that the path to clarity, peace, and fulfillment begins with the small, deliberate choices you make each day. Trust yourself, protect your inner peace, forgive with grace, and listen closely to the whispers of your heart. Let the lessons of today guide you, not as burdens to bear, but as gifts to treasure. May your mind be clear, your heart full, and your spirit unwavering. Good luck, dear friend, as you walk this beautiful, messy, and courageous path. Thank you for allowing me to share these words with you. Stay kind to yourself and always remember that you are worthy of every blessing life has to offer.